Front page of today's Echo, Sarah Horgan writes, a former Scientologist has warned that the controversial religion is creeping into Cork following the announcement of a workshop which promises to give people relief from a recent loss and to increase their happiness. The workshop takes place in Cork next month. We've talked many times about Scientology on this programme. Some call it a religion, some call it a cult. Peter Griffin is an ex-Scientologist. Good morning, Peter and Pete.
Good morning, Pat. How are you?
I'm great. PJ here. Talk to is Scientology a religion or a cult? And is it dangerous?
In my opinion, it is a dangerous cult. And they'd love to be recognised as a religion, but unfortunately, they don't even qualify as a religion because they don't really help people. That's the bottom line.
They claim to.
They claim to, and it's interesting how they do that. Like, let's talk about the Dianetics seminar that's taking place next month, and they claim to be able to help people with a recent loss and to increase their happiness. And it all is actually based on the works of Mr. Hubbard, who was a science fiction writer, who basically copied Freud's work. Dianetics is simply ab-reaction therapy, and the so-called reactive mind, which is what people in Scientology and Dianetics believe they have, is simply Freud's unconscious mind under a different name. So he stole his ideas from Freud. He was like the father of psychoanalysis, as you know.
The whole thing emerged, didn't it, from a book L. Rod Hubbard wrote 50, 60 years ago, and like you say, a science fiction writer. Your time in Scientology, what was that like?
Well, initially, I didn't even realise it was a cult that I was getting into. Like, family members of mine had done self-improvement courses, and when I was asked to go along and do the same, I didn't see any harm in that. And, it's like, if you've never spoken about something in your life before, and suddenly you do, and it's, like, troubling, then you will feel some relief and you will feel better. So initially I felt that it was doing me some good. It's only when, it's almost like that's the bait in the trap, and then once they've got you, they want more and more and more. And whether it be time, courses, money, it's everything. I mean, ultimately Scientology wants to suck everything you've got out of you.
And it has some very high-profile celebrity supporters.
Yeah, that's rather sad, isn't it?
Tom Cruise being the main one, isn't it?
Well, yeah. See, that's an interesting one. One of Tom Cruise's claims is that Scientology processes cured him of dyslexia, and yet the people he went to school with says, no, he didn't have dyslexia. Yeah. So, I'm not calling the man a liar, but let's say there are some discrepancies in the story.
And didn't John Travolta's son die of an epileptic fit because Scientology told him to stop medicating the lad?
Yeah, I'm not sure it was epilepsy, but certainly people with epilepsy or any other condition are encouraged not to take medication. And I think that's probably one of the most dangerous aspects of Scientology, is they absolutely do not think that the medical profession has any validity whatsoever. And they think that, I mean, in their own words, the soul can cure the body is what they say. And they think that they've got the answers to that. Unfortunately, so many Scientologists actually do get ill and do die, tragically.
Yeah. There's a fascinating series of documentaries put together by the actress Leah Remini. You may have seen them.
Absolutely. It's called The Aftermath.
Yeah, she had a dreadful experience with Scientology and simply trying to get away from it.
Yeah. I have every sympathy for anybody who's been involved with Scientology. Some people get away lightly. I was lucky enough. I just lost some time and some money. But other people lose a lot of things, I mean, like even your mental health. I mean, it's difficult to assess sometimes, the damage it actually does to you. But if you walk around believing something that isn't true or that's based on lies, then your life's going to be messed up,
Now, invariably what happens, Pete, when we start talking about Scientology and you speak about it in those terms, people immediately start quite comparing it to the Catholic Church, that it's just another form of church. You follow the Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, you follow Judaism, you follow whatever, you follow Scientology. Their argument is, look, they're all the same.
That's a good one, and you hear it all the time. And I suppose it depends where you're coming from. Yes, anyone claiming to be a religion or a cult, they kind of have things in common. But you've got to look at, like, what good do they ultimately do? I think the Catholic Church has had a terrible past. There's been some terrible priests. We all know that. But they're ultimately an organisation for good. They want to help people. That's what they're there for. And Scientology is not that. That's absolutely for sure.
What is it
Scientology, sorry?
What is it there for?
Scientology is simply there to make money for the leader. It was the case when L. Ron Hubbard was the main man, and it's the case now with David Miscavige. He tries to convince, like people call whales, which are like big money donators. And I think some whale is funding all their efforts in this country. I mean, they were at the Cork Agricultural Show last month. Did you know that as well?
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah. So they're trying to become respectable, and they push as hard as they can to gain some respectability, just so that people will walk in the door and start spending money. And it's terrible, really, because if they were actually doing some good, I would support them. But they're not. They only do harm, ultimately.
Yeah.
So, you know.
The event is on in August at the Maldron Hotel in Shandon. It's not cheap. It's 135 quid for a ticket. People will obviously make their own choices, but having been there, done that, and bought the T-shirt, your advice would be what?
Oh, please don't go. Please don't go. If you need help, then seek proper, professional medical help from experts. Scientologists, like, I feel sorry for them because they think they know everything. I mean, and I'm not joking. They actually think they know everything. They feel superior to non-Scientologists, but we won't get into that. But it's that mindset that's the danger, because they are friendly people. They think they're doing good, so you can easily be hoodwinked. Yeah. And you don't just like walk through the door into a cult. You get in it step by step. Yeah. You know, so you'd be saying to yourself, well, these people seem okay. You know, I mean, I don't believe all the things the critics are saying. How could that be? Yeah. Look, these people are nice, you know.
Leah Rimini makes that point in the early stages of her documentary series. She said she was wooed by them at a difficult time in her professional life. She thought they had all the answers, and then she ran screaming as soon as she saw the reality. She, for example, you mentioned David Miscavige, the present leader. Like, where's his wife?
Well, no one seems to know. She's been missing for over 10 years. Right. No one knows why or how, you know. And that in itself is just weird. I believe Leah got into trouble at Tom Cruise's wedding for asking, where is his wife?
They had become friends.
That's right. That's right.
She didn't turn up at the wedding, and she went asking for her, and she was asking the wrong questions.
Yeah, and that got her into a lot of trouble with the Scientologists.
Yeah, that was the time she needed out. Pete, listen, thank you very much for taking our call. Pete Griffith, formerly of the Scientology cult. We won't be calling it a religion on this programme, and you can say what you like to me about it. I mentioned Leah Rimini. Just Google her, and there's loads of her stuff on Netflix, and it would frighten the trousers off you, so it would. John McGee is an ex-Scientologist. John, I think we've spoken before. Good morning.
Good morning, PJ. Yeah, we have indeed.
They didn't want to let you leave, and they followed you.
They attempted some veiled intimidation, all right, showing up to my house, trying to get me back on course, contacting my friends to do the same.
Your advice to anybody who might be thinking about this, who might be reading their echo and say, do you know what, I'll give it a go. What would you say?
No, don't run a mile. Scientology is a school for sociopaths. If you weren't a sociopath before, you will be by the time you get indoctrinated by them. It all starts with Dianetics. That's the gateway drug in, and it only opens up from there, and then the cage comes down. It gets progressively more expensive. If you think the Dianetics course or seminar is reasonably priced, you can be guaranteed it will be multiplied by 10 on your next course, and before you know it, you're remortgaging your home, you're telling lies to your family as to where your finances are going. Scientology is completely self-serving. It is, people say it's a cult, people say it's a religion. It is not. It is a cult, but most of all, it is a pyramid scheme, which is masquerading as a religion, but which acts like a cult, and it embodies all of the characteristics. That,
I would have thought the likes of Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and others, and in her time, Leah Remini, would have had more brains.
I would have thought that I had more brains as well, but I still got sucked in. You know, it can go either way, PJ. You can badmouth an organisation to a point where people will run a mile, or an idiot like me will become intrigued and say, right, I'm going to have to try some of this. So it's a vicious circle.
Okay, listen, thanks for that, John McGee. Advice from both John McGee and Pete Griffith: stay away. 1850-715-996. As I say, my wife actually has a fascination with Scientology, not as in not being remotely interested in joining it or anything like that, but I think she was a fan, she is a fan of Leah Remini as an actor, and followed her comedy. She was in the Queen of Queens, wasn't it? That was the name of the show, King of Queens. And from that, she followed her into the documentaries, and she's read her books. And the missus is an expert at this stage on Scientology, but certainly worth a watch. They want to come to Cork. They want to start having courses here. The advice from two ex-members is stay away.